Well, hello YouTube, hello Facebook, and welcome to a special edition of HILLJAYNE Unfiltered. This is going to be somewhat of a continuation of shows, videos, if you will. These are pre-recorded, these aren't live, because this is something that I'm going to continue for a while now. Many of you guys know about my history. I'm from the South, and I've dated many. I've dated gentlemen who, in my experience, have been on the down low. It's very hard for a girl like me, a transgendered girl, to deal with something like that, especially when you have an ego as big as mine. And as funny as that sounds, it's also the truth. Sometimes you take it personally. We think that it's us. We're not pretty enough. We're not passable enough. Being 6 foot. Sometimes I have that issue. I don't talk about it a lot, but it's there. And so girls like me who are tall, we substitute it. We take on different things. We may do drugs. We may take the glamour to the extreme. We may get the biggest boobs, as I did. So I'm so fortunate in that in my relocation, I've become great friends with the person who was allowing me to stay in her home. Tori has been a great friend to me, and we are really educating each other on certain things. I told Tori recently, I'm not used to being friends with transsexuals. It's foreign to me. And she is giving me information on some terminology, and I've given information on her on terminology. And she was been nice enough to introduce me to her boyfriend by the name of Oliver, who I have been getting to know and who was a very smart gentleman. And I love meeting smart people. And I'm sitting here right now with Tori and Oliver, and earlier this evening, after doing a really great telecast where I interviewed a mom and talked about her struggle with her son who has Albright syndrome, I was just browsing on the net and something popped up on my phone talking about trans-oriented. And this is a book about men who are attracted to transsexuals and who like transsexuals. And the fact kind of went crazy over that because I've discovered a book that would have been so much easier in my 20s if I could have given them to boyfriends and guys who I dated. And I'm here with two people right now, Tori and her boyfriend, Oliver. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for joining me. This is HILLJAYNE Unfiltered. This is pre-recorded. Like I said, per Oliver's suggestion, we're going to continue this for a while. So this is the person I'm living with, very wonderful person named Tori.
Hello, how are you all?
And this is her boyfriend, Oliver.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Tori is formerly of the military, and we're going to get to know Tori really well this coming week when I interview her live. And God help us. God help us when she and I get together, because who knows what tangents we'll go off on, she and I. Oliver is a teacher by trade, and he has given me some great perspective into gentlemen who like special girls. Oliver, one thing I was talking about, you and I were mentioning, or I was mentioning to you earlier, I have had a hard time dealing with guys who aren't comfortable with themselves, or I feel they're not comfortable with themselves, and they will go to McDonald's and I have to hide. Oliver's not like that. He took I'm here 3 days, and he takes Tori and me out to a club, and he's totally cool with it. That would never happen in the South. Can you tell me a little bit about why are guys like that? Why are guys like that when they're, I don't want to say embarrassed, but ashamed of themselves?
Well, it probably has a lot to do with their insecurities themselves.
Okay.
And when they do go around transgender women, they're not with the woman, they're with themselves, with somebody else. And usually someone they don't understand quite fully.
Yeah.
And when you are around transgender women, you have to understand that they're totally going through a massive change. Yes. So there will be a lot of differences. There'll be a lot of points of where someone isn't quite sure that they know the person they're with. And when you're a transgender person and all the changes you're going through, you know yourself in your mind and in your actions, things are quite different than what they previously were.
Yes.
So if you can understand that about transgender women and know that they're on this constant roll of changes, you also have to understand that to continue to be with them and understand them, you have to follow along with those changes. One thing that I found that I did with Tori, and often not behind her back, but for my own understanding, let's say, for example, she would go to receive some kind of care about her transition. So I would go to the library the next day and I would research it, or I would get books about it, or I'd go online to find out about it. And that helped me to open myself up to have a better understanding of the new person that Tori was becoming. And we can understand that when I initially met Tori, Tori was someone who had recently retired from the military, had an outstanding record. So I had befriended someone and had become a very close friend of someone who already had a point in her life where she had to live by government or military standards. So when someone leaves the military, there's that big transition period whereupon they have to get back into society. And Tori was not only getting back into society, but she was making the attempt to go through her transition from that point.
So Tori, it's a lot of girls, like me. I've talked to you about, how this is foreign to me, and it's not foreign to you. And you were telling me earlier about, the terminology: tranny chasers, trans-oriented men, and duders.
Yeah.
Tell the viewers about that, because you word it perfectly, and I may not be as eloquent as you.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
From my experiences in dating, not just Oliver, but I've actually dated a few other men, and obviously, had intimacy with other men since I've been in transition, and pretty much what I feel. From my personal experiences, the difference between trans-oriented men, chasers, and duders is, Oliver's a trans-oriented man, okay, and he if he likes a trans woman, he likes her as the full package, okay, meaning her personality, what she thinks, how she's sociable. Of course, there has to be physical attraction. I mean, with anybody, in my experience of dating, not just men but other women, there has to be some kind of physical attraction first. So you're physically attracted to that person, and then you get to know them, and like with a trans-oriented man, okay, such as my boyfriend. He doesn't fetishize me, or didn't fetishize me because of my genitalia or lack thereof. Okay, could go either way. Okay, with trans women, or I suspect with trans men. So in my mind and how I think, it's more, as a trans woman who actually has dated both cis men and been in a relationship with another trans woman, I think I can understand the spectrum of it. And what that is you have an attraction to someone, but you're attracted to the full package of them, okay? And you want to get to know them. They're beautiful to you, as other trans women, or I guess a cis man could say that with trans women and cis women, is attracted to women. Normally, a trans-oriented man is attracted to women, females, but maybe just happens to prefer trans women because, truth be told, we get a lot of perks, that cis women don't, in my opinion, as a trans woman and as a trans woman who has dated a trans woman. So that's, I think, the difference between, or in a nutshell, a trans-oriented man. He's interested in the full package of you, okay? Not just the parts you're working with, your genitalia, or the parts that you have or don't have. Whereas then I think we all know what a chaser is, or what we as trans women refer to as, quote, tranny chasers, unquote.
And we can be as blunt as we want. This is unfiltered, so
okay.
It's okay.
Right.
This is going to be on YouTube. This isn't for the kiddies. So.
Right. Okay. So I think from my personal experience, okay, with and I'm pretty good at being in transition for 3 years now. So I've been in transition for 3 years now as a trans woman, as a trans female. I've talked online with men, had flirt chat with men, and actually, I don't want to say dated some men, but I've had some anonymous encounters with men, other than my boyfriend.
Sure.
Okay, because there was a time him and I were broken up, and I could pretty much clock a chaser because they're more concerned. I'm a pre-op trans female. I still have male genitalia. So a tranny chaser is going to be, in my experience, and I think other trans women especially can identify with this. And if there's any men who are maybe not know that they're a trans-oriented man, maybe they suspect they do, or are. So a chaser is going to be more involved in focusing on your body parts, your specific doll parts, body parts, especially if you're pre-op. We're trans women. We're born male, transition to female. In my experience, I've had men on the internet blatantly ask me, show me your
Right.
your genitalia,
Right.
or had said, I want to be with you and give you oral pleasure because of my genitalia. Based on that, like not wanting to get to know me as a person.
She's being so polite.
Yeah, not wanting to get to know me as a person. Not to say, or have said, or not have said, like with trans-oriented men, they're like, wow, okay, you got a nice body, you got a nice shape, you got a nice figure. Typically, guys like that will be a trans-oriented man. They're complimenting a trans woman on her figure, on her beauty, the whole package of beauty. Whereas a chaser will be mostly like, specifically geared, his brain is specifically geared to the male genitalia of a pre-op trans woman, okay? And will be the first thing in their mind in intimacy or in the bedroom the first thing in their mind. They want to touch it, they want to play with it, blah, 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 blah. We all know that that's true. We all know that that's a fact, that's truth. And
in your opinion, Tori,
yes.
Now, this doesn't mean this is her opinion. She has her opinion, I have mine. Is he gay?
A trans-oriented man,
a guy that wants to play with your dick. Is he gay? And I'm not meaning yours. I mean yours in general.
In my opinion, okay, a trans-oriented man who wants to do that is not, because he's going to want to incorporate the full package of the woman.
Because he wants to bring his partner pleasure.
Right. And he wants So the full package. He's going to be focused on the full of the woman. As a trans woman who has dated a trans woman and been in a relationship with a trans woman, I think I can kind of understand most of this perspective, but not from the male brain perspective of it. Okay, so when I was with my ex-girlfriend, I loved her for her, and I loved the whole package. When I was intimate with her, of course I touched her. She was pre-op too. Of course I touched and gave her pleasure with her male part. But I incorporated everything. I held her.
Right. Whereas a tranny chaser wouldn't do that.
No, a tranny chaser. Okay, and in my opinion, with that, and I have had not too much experience with them. However, I have clocked a few because they're all about, are you normally a lot of times they'll ask you, you're a pre-op or post-op, but right away, if they can't tell or don't know, they'll say, are you pre-op or post-op? And the lighting here is really terrible.
Maybe the kitchen lights.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, we'll edit that out.
All right.
There we go.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, and I don't know if it needs to be tilted more this way. Probably so. Okay, there we go. So I think with a tranny chasing man, okay, he is going to be more, you know, he wants to. He one of the first things he's going to do is want to touch you in your genitalia. He's going to want to play with it, blah 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 blah, and he's going to fetishize you because of it. He wants to see a chick with a dick. That is his thing. I mean, we all know. Is you're a trans woman, I'm a trans woman, he's a trans-oriented man.
Can we do that demonstration that we did earlier, you and I? Because you were spot on. Can we do a little demonstration?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do right now, Tori did a little demonstration with me where she was a trans-oriented man, then a tranny chaser, and then a duder. So let me meet a trans-orient. Let me meet a duder. And a duder is what we would call in the South, and I know them very well, fuckboys. So let me meet the fuckboy. Let me meet the duder.
Oh gosh, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so a fuckboy or a duder. Okay, a duder is typically a cis man who.
Cis means he's a man.
He's a genetic man. He's born a man. Okay, so cisgender, you know, you're born that way. Trans, you transition that way. So typically, a duder or a fuckboy is a man who just wants to bust a nut. Okay, he just wants to fuck. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's a trans woman or if it's a cis woman. And typically, you know, he's going to think, you know. He sees a trans woman, and he's going to pretty much say everything that she wants to hear. Like, hey, honey, gosh, you got a phenomenal body. You're gorgeous. How about we go on a date? Blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the night, his end game is just to tap her, and 9 times out of 10, he's going to move on. He's not going to want to date her. He's not really going to give a shit. And there's a lot of duders that do that to cisgender women, too. They do. But there's a lot of duders, probably many, many more, that do it to trans women. Okay, he may not even want to worry about
what's between the legs.
What's between my legs? Okay,
he just wants to fuck.
He wants to fuck. Saying. So he figures that I might, because I'm trans. He might think I'm an easy piece of ass and be like, you know, I'm gonna tap that and move on.
Is it, in your opinion? And I'm very curious about this. I'm not a lady of the night. I am a lady who loves the company of men. Is it bad when we give into those guys?
Is it bad? We you know, I can't say it is, because, you know,
it's probably the individual person.
It's the individual person. I know with going through my second puberty, I have my highs and lows with libido, just like any other woman does, just like cis women do, but it's more intense because I take estrogen. So when I have libido, I have high, and I want to have sex. And even if I clock a guy for a duder or a fuckboy, you know, in the past, I have allowed that. No, pretty much probably knowing that he was going to pretty much just, you know, his end game was to tap me, bust a nut, and that was it. I was never going to hear from him again.
Exactly.
But I would have liked to. I would have liked to maybe. I've had a couple experiences with that where I thought I at least would have a friendship afterwards, and nothing.
And that's something that I've encountered, is that I sometimes develop feelings for the hot guy who just fucked me. Yeah. And so that's I don't. It's getting into an iffy thing again. Like we were saying, it's all on the individual person. But at times I wonder, I'm putting myself out there like that. Not everybody does that, and I'm changing. I'm middle aged now. Yeah. I'm changing in that when guys send me dick shots, I'm starting to find it offensive.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, so a guy. He could be a trans-oriented man, and he's just all full of himself. He thinks, oh my God, that's a trans woman. She wants to see what I have, and if it's big, she's going to want it and want to play with it, want to have it, blah, blah, blah. So some trans-oriented men can be just dumbasses. Truth be told, there's some trans-oriented men out there but they're just dumbasses, and they think that we want to see dick pics. We, as trans women, we have seen enough dick pics.
God knows.
In our transition, whether it's 3 years or however long Hillary, like 19 years, we've seen enough dick pics. We've seen more dick pics sent to us than a gynecologist has seen vagina in a 20-year practice.
And you got to think. I webcammed for 6 months. I've seen a lot of dick.
Yeah, and I find it funny that on social media I get that all the time. On Facebook Messenger I get that all the time, and it's like, wow. you got, and then a lot of times they'll be like, well, what do you have? Let me see yours.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I have a comfortability zone to show a
Right.
pic, and other times
Me
I
too.
don't.
Me too. And I don't know what that is. I don't know. Is it our estrogen level? Because I'm
Yeah.
the exact same
Yeah.
way. Sometimes
It's the
I'm like,
attention. I think for me, it's the attention. Okay, like I'm 3
I
years.
think for me, it's the guy hot.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the attention. I like the attention because I've already been transitioning for June will be 3 years. So I call it 3 years for all intents and purposes. And I have some uncomfortability zones. I just started on progesterone. I don't feel my breasts are as big as they would be. Yeah, little knockers. So and I'm a petite chick. So
Which comes in really handy. Like I said, in the South, this, good friends, wouldn't happen because the tall girls and the short girls, there's a...
yeah.
And it's not even unspoken. There's a rivalry. But
Which is So
and that doesn't exist up here.
Yeah, not so much. I mean, I suppose it does. It's just I don't see it and I don't fluctuate with it.
And we're older.
We're older, and most of the people that we hang with, right, are not the younger girls and stuff because that's just too much drama. They're really just full of themselves and too much drama. However. And again, what I think, is so that's the difference between a trans-oriented man, and a chaser and a duder. So a duder, we covered that. A duder's just gonna be like, hey, honey, God, you're hot. Hey, let's go out on a date. And his end game, it doesn't matter. She could be a cis woman, she could be a trans woman. He's going to want to tap her, and that's it. That's a duder, a
tranny
fuckboy.
chaser.
Okay, and a tranny chaser, he's going to be like on a date or at a club. Chances are he's going to meet her at a club. And he's going to come out and be like, hey, you're gorgeous, wow. And then he's going to ask, so you pre-op or post-op? Hey, can I touch it? Hey, can I play with it? And if she would decide to go home with him, his main focus is going to be on her male genitalia. Like that's his main focus. And a lot of, I think, I don't know this to be true, because I'm not a tranny chasing man. So I don't know. I can just speculate on this. But I would venture that most tranny chasing men, because they're mostly going to be focused on just her doll part alone and not the whole package of a beautiful woman. 9 times out of 10, I want to say those men are at least bisexual men. Okay. If not maybe have some closet issues with homosexuality.
And see, this is where she and I differ. Because, and this is what I want to put this point out, trans stuff aside, you can be friends with people who you disagree with. In my experience, I find it a fetish. I don't think they're bisexual. I think they like freaky things. And I'm very comfortable in supplying a freaky thing to a hot guy.
Yeah, and we all know that's true. And we all know that's true. There's certain fetishes and stuff like because we're special girls. And there's a very low percentage of us. I mean, there's much more cis women than trans women out there. So, I suppose, guys could have it as a fetish, I have attraction to other trans women. Right. I've had attraction to other trans women, but it's not a fetish for me. I just see a beautiful woman, and I don't care what's between her legs.
And Tori is extremely comfortable with herself. And as someone being friends, I'm extremely comfortable in myself. And there's absolutely no competition. There's no got to one up one another. I'm tall, she's short, and
petite.
we're friends, and it could be right.
Yeah, you got to put it down there.
Flaunt it. Yes, this is HILLJAYNE Unfiltered, hunty. Yes. People who are different, and this goes to the basis of why I do this shit, is you can be friends with people who are different than you, who think differently than you. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And
we might have different opinions on, and we don't, but we might have different opinions on President Trump. We don't. I reiterate, we don't. No, but it's okay if we do.
We're both pretty much ashamed that he's our commander-in-chief right now. But it's appalling, actually.
And we're going to talk about that. But it's okay if we did, And I see that on social media a lot. We're segueing a lot, and I knew this was going to happen with you and me. She and I do this all. We'll be talking about cereal, and in 5 minutes we'll be talking about just God knows what.
Yeah, I know.
We do this a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
It's just social media. People just really feel like they can't be friends with one another.
I think
differently.
I think it's stupid, but I mean, at the same time, going back just to originally what we were talking about.
Trans-oriented men. What did he do?
Okay, so we cover what duders are. Okay, duders are just like how she said. And I've heard that term before too. They're fuck boys, and I don't know. They could be most of the time. They could be any of sexual orientation. They could be straight, they could be bi, and they could be gay. Okay, so I've actually experienced all of that. Now, then you have a trans-oriented man, like my boyfriend, like the man that's been in my life, my off and on my entire tired for when I was with my ex-girlfriend, which was another
That's
topic.
another show.
That's another show.
That's a 2-hour special
That's a
edition.
2 hour. Yeah, that's something that's a long drawn out thing. So we know about the duders, okay, and then trans-oriented men. They want, trans-oriented man will come to a woman, beautiful woman, okay, and he may clock her as trans. He may know she's a trans woman, but it doesn't matter to him because he sees a woman, a beautiful woman, and he also knows that because she's trans, there's a lot of stuff that she can relate to. Let's say I'm a man, okay, like I'm a cisgender man, okay, and I'm very comfortable with the trans spectrum. As a matter of fact, by default, a trans-oriented man is part of the trans movement, and by default, right. And because he dates and he supports trans women and he likes them. So, I would know as if I'm a trans-oriented man, I can only speculate mentally wise and brain wise from a point of view of a trans woman, how a trans-oriented man would be in that regard. He's going to know that she has at one point in time had some experiences as a male, and he's going to be able to understand that. I'm going to understand that. And there's things that will be attraction-wise in that regard that cis women cannot ever display.
Are they older? Because I don't know that I've met very many. I think I just met one. Yeah. Saturday night. I think I've just met one. Seriously. Yeah. I think I've just met one who is extremely comfortable with himself. Yeah. In my experience, they tend to a little bit more life age.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about the age. I don't know about the age group. I mean, experience. Yeah, I know. I think it's all different age groups. I think what it is I think there's a final awakening to a point with. I think there's a final awakening or an epiphany, if you want to call it that, or just a realization that from and Oliver can probably interject and actually retort on this much better than me, much better than I can. But I would suspect that it's these men that are trans-oriented men that actually will date a trans woman, will have relationships and everything else under the sun. It's like, I can only speculate. I've heard different things. Okay. Let's say that I was a trans-oriented man, I'm a male, and I have attraction to trans women. I know that they're going to have certain life experiences as a male, so they can relate to me a lot better than cis women can relate. Number one. Number two, some trans-oriented men may find it attractive or behooving to a relationship that not all, but most, I would venture to say most trans women, trans females, T-girls, are physically stronger than cisgender women.
Right.
Okay, so that's a perk, that's a plus. It
can also work against us because we probably, this is going into a totally different direction,
right.
But we probably could be more prone to some types of abuse.
Well, I don't. Yeah, possibly. But
then it could work in our hand because we can defend ourselves.
Yeah.
God knows I can. God knows you can.
Yeah. To a degree. I mean, like physically stronger. Like there's things that I can physically lift that I can lift more than a cis woman my build, and height and age. Like I'm physically stronger than most cis women, at least my build and height, if not age is a factor. So I would suspect that. I would also suspect there's things that I, as prior to transition as a male, I'd like to do that were very by gender. They were very gender fluid things. I don't want to say it was something a woman liked to do or a man liked to do. However, there are some things that I like to do that are very masculine. Some cis women will do these things, but I find that probably, I venture to say, more trans women would be involved in, just all kinds of more male-identified things. Could be anything from shooting pool, could it be anything from going out to a range and test firing rifles or target practice.
To eating at a restaurant because the hormones make us. We like to eat.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. But I'm just speculating what my love and attraction to other trans females, okay, that I have actually dated before or had sexual relations with, is the fact from a trans woman's point of view is they understand me and I understand them. So it's probably a bit different. So from a trans woman point of view, from my point of view, there's not a lot of guessing. There's not a lot of things. I know that this person had a male experience just like I did. And maybe we can talk about that, and that's some common ground. Right. But I would suspect, and Oliver can interject and answer with this, from a trans-oriented man's perspective, spectrum on trans women, you know, there could be some things that are very appealing. Again, you know, like we can identify with male things. He's a male. I was born a male. There's certain things that even though my brain's feminized and I'm a trans woman now, and I'm a woman for all intents and purposes, I can relate to with masculine things. I can really relate to these things. And
Oliver, I want you to comment on that, but I got to get to this before I forget it. And we're going to wrap up soon, part one. But I've got to, you made such a profound, this is why I wanted to go and record this, because you made such a profound comment about transgendered women need, say what you said to me earlier. Remember that? They need and I was saying about how a boyfriend once told me that I needed constant approval, and you were saying transgendered women need a lot of attention.
Well, more so than the attention, they want the attention.
Right.
But more so they need to know that someone is trying to understand what they're going through. And
and I know that Tori has spoken so much of you about that you do understand, and I know that's very appealing to her. And just in getting to know you, it's appealing to me as a gentleman, a guy who is a nice guy who gets it. You know, that's appealing, because a lot of times, you know, you get past all the brouhaha, but someone who just understands you, or at the very least accepts it.
yeah, exactly. I think that, and you go ahead and answer with some of the things. I mean, you can use me as an example, because I'm probably one of the only examples you can really use. You know, you've been out on dates with other trans women in the past, all the way back to the 70s. So he's actually been on dates, not relationship wise. I'm the first trans girl he's been in a relationship with, but he's actually dated a few other girls here and there, over, you know, since the 70s, or the late 70s, something like that, as well as cis women. So,
well, excuse me, that's true, but we have to stay focused on my viewpoint on things instead of you saying how you reacted with transgender women, because that confuses what I will have to share.
oh, okay, my bad. Well, go ahead.
So you went off.
I was thinking
that
outside.
big thing,
I was thinking outside the box,
which kind of took it away from the total subject that.
okay.
We'll edit this part out.
We
So
were
just be
talked
comfortable.
about, you know.
We'll edit this part
Oh, no,
out.
that's fine. That's fine.
Well, no,
But-
go ahead. Just leave it in. Leave the whole thing in. It's unfiltered,
Okay.
and that's cool.
Yeah, that's
his
true.
That's his
That's true.
perspective. I was just trying to use my perspective on it, being trying to think as how maybe a trans-oriented man would think about dating or being in a relationship with trans women.
And this is something that she and I do. We'll talk about a cup of coffee in the next 2 hours. And
Yeah. My attraction to females in general and other trans women that I've had in the past. So that's all I was trying to do, was kind of maybe put that into a perspective.
Because
Thinking
that's-
outside of the box.
That's off the topic of what.
Not trying to step on your.
This is
This is
another
Tori
thing
and Oliver.
Not
This
trying
is
to.
another
Yes,
thing
yes, this is how we
with
are.
trans girls.
Not trying to step on your toes. Go
Sometimes,
ahead.
and that is, it has to be about themselves.
That's it. That's what you said. Yes.
And
yes.
they
it's
have
all about
to
them. Yes.
express
And you got
themselves.
two that are just like that. And she and I, we epitomize that. We epitomize that.
and have to express themselves
Yes.
before anybody else gets an opportunity.
Apologies, sir. Continue.
You don't have to apologize,
Go ahead. Seriously, I didn't mean to take away from that.
because the viewpoint that I was going to start at and continue with, I have to get back to now.
Continue.
As I said, I met Tori when she was out of the Army for such and such a time, had relocated to this area,
It's okay.
and
I will be right back.
became best friends.
Right.
Now, if Tori had not decided that she was going to go through the transgender changes that she was, we would be best male friends.
Really.
So, and yes, and probably till this day. Which,
Because you two do. Screw it. You two do have a lot of chemistry in that it's very This is unfiltered. It's very 70-year-old couple. I see a lot in the interaction between the two of you. It's very
That's because I'm mature and I have a maturity even though I'm going through my second puberty,
But
which
you-
by the way is a bitch.
you bicker a lot, but there's an underlying respect and love from both of you, and there's nothing but concern. Like from the outside looking in, one might comment, "She's mean to him." No, she's not mean to him, but there's an underlying, you care so much about this man.
Of course I do.
Yeah, and it's underlined. At the
Yeah.
same time, I do notice you losing your you lose a lot of patience with this one, and more than you lose your patience with anyone. But at the same time,
Yeah.
and I think he understands it too. But that's what I always say. You often hurt the ones you love.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has just been the second puberty stuff I go through where I get my hormone levels are maybe a little imbalanced and I just might come off like a little unchained, or just whatever the case.
And that
I
was
don't
not
mean
meant
to.
with any disrespect or
No,
any-
that's
yeah,
real talk.
yeah,
That's real talk,
yeah.
and I can guess what, I can own that. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
You sure you don't have anything else to say?
No.
In fact,
no,
we're going to make
actually,
it.
Go
We're
ahead.
going to make it.
Please continue.
Well, as I said, we would have been best friends as guys, which would mean, and I know this completely, Tori loves women. I love women. We would not have had a gay friendship. We would have been best buds. And we would
going
have
out scoping
gone
the
out
broads together.
and doing the things that we did, like strip clubs
Right.
and, the hiking and the camping and all of that, which can transfer over into her new life, which it has. So when Tori stood in my living room that day, and this will be a good wrap up,
Okay.
and said that she was going to transition, I had to think for a moment, this person had become a super good friend quickly, in, like a month period. And I felt a connection with Tori. Tori opened my world at this point in my life. And I was hoping that I was opening her world too, in making her adjustment back into a normal life beyond the Army, and of other things that we won't discuss at this time. But when she said that, the only thing that I could retort was that I would stand by your side while you were going through this.
Wow.
And I didn't want to lose her as a friend, but I knew, because I've been around people who have made the transition over the years, seen what they had gone through, and it always wasn't the easiest thing for someone to do in life. And I thought to myself that night that I would stand by her completely, not knowing within a certain amount of time that as she was becoming a woman, that I started having feelings for her as a woman. As a woman. And I know it was hard for Tori to understand that, but that's what was happening. As she was making her changes, I myself was making my changes because I felt a little more than just Tori transitioning. I was loving seeing the changes.
And that's ultimately the most important part of what I want to convey to people who are watching and who will watch in the next few weeks. This is HILLJAYNE Unfiltered. I'm such a lucky bitch because I've become friends with these two glorious people who are smart, sexy, and give me a good kick in the ass when I need it. So. I often end with "go out and get you some," but tonight I want to just reiterate what the whole theme of the show is from the day one when I first started all this crap. Even in the darkest of dark, a seed can find the smallest amount of light and grow. To anybody who's watching, who's ever felt different, who's ever felt uncomfortable, don't ever let anybody ever make you feel that way, because you're worth something, and the greatest thing on earth is knowing that we can get through this monstrosity of life as long as we're together. Thanks, guys.
So I say go out and get educated.
And Tori, what do you say? She says go out and...
I say, and I will. There was a really wise man who once said this by the name of Brayton Howard. I really think he's a wise man, And he said, you know, own you, okay, meaning own who you like and what you like, because life is too short, okay. And I believe he also said, you know, and if people can't accept you for that, you know, if people can't accept, you know, you for dating or liking a certain person or a certain gender, screw them, because they're not your friends to begin with. And a wise man said that, Brayton Howard, and it's so true, and that helped me out. And so kudos to you, Brayton.
Cool. What's that guy on YouTube that you introduced me to?
That I showed you.
Yeah,
the guy.
Yeah,
That's Brayton Howard.
That's Brayton Howard. Brayton Howard. What's up?